Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. I know, surprise visit. Things got cancelled, so we're back to our normal schedule. We're going to be streaming tonight. We got a good show. We're going to be talking all about more details of Greenland specifically. I don't want to say I've been avoiding the subject. I've just been waiting for more stuff to come out, and well, we have some stuff to discuss about it. So we'll talk about Greenland. We'll also talk a little bit about Iran, the developments going on over there. Potential escalation for war that's always looming in the background. Maybe nothing ever happens, so be it. I wouldn't mind. But yeah, we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking as well about MicroStrategy. The MSCI decision. It was supposed to be today, and it looks good. Should be bullish news, but we're not rising on it, so hey. Classic Bitcoin. No problem. So we'll be talking all about that as well. And some other developments going on in the world pertaining to what Canada is doing, what the military is doing around the world, and Ukraine as well. Bitcoin's current price is 92,550. So we didn't make a newer high today. We did poke above 94,000. Our highest was 94,400. That was good for Bitcoin. We dropped a little bit to what was previously a resistance from Fibonacci levels. That's 91,352. The lowest was actually 91,223, at least on my chart. Good, but not good enough for me to consider an entry. What I wanted for an entry was this zone down over here, between 89 to 90,000. Sub 90,000, I'd be absolutely entering into Bitcoin. Max long, and it should be great. For the time being, seems like we're resting a little, which is normal. This is fine. We don't want to rise too long or be overbought for too long as well. Otherwise, that'd just be unhealthy, right? You got to take some breaks along in the uptrend to reaccumulate more strength to continue much higher. Meaning that, so far, 95,000 is our most important resistance for Bitcoin. I like it. Because the highest we hit was 94,750, which we covered yesterday. This is the move that I'm expecting on Bitcoin soon. I would like this so that I can actually go long, because I was trying to enter over here, maybe 86,000, but how was I going to know that the price is going to be 86,762? Like, come on. I was close, but not close enough. Didn't really get what I wanted. I even had to like force myself to buy at a level that I thought was a bit early, which was a bit risky to do it, but I didn't care. I was fine if it dropped even to 86,000. But it didn't, and it continued rising, took my profit, whatever. We let the thing do its movement. We still have an uptrend for Bitcoin nonetheless, which is very healthy, looking great as well. Did they get a haircut or something? It's marvelous. My positions are still doing their thing over here. Ethereum's been having a good rise. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Its current price is 3,249, up 1% today. I know, crazy good rise. Supertrend moved up a little bit to 3,015 from 3,000. And resistance, it's pretty clear they're at 3,300, I would say. Ignore the $30 difference. Give it a buffer of that amount instead. The highest we've ever hit was 3,307. And this happened today in the morning, actually. Current price is 3,251 on Ethereum. Solid uptrend rise. Seems like we're coming out of an overbought zone, though. I would also estimate a similar move into this, meaning that anything sub 3,070 is where I would plan to accumulate more Ethereum if this does happen. Did I keep this drawing on Bitcoin? I did, and I think I'm going to also box this around so you guys can kind of understand what I'm trying to go for over here. That's my entry for Bitcoin. This is going to be my entry for Ethereum if we do want to maintain an uptrend, right? If we don't want to maintain an uptrend, then I will obviously be entering with a stop loss so that it invalidates the trade and eventually flips it over to a downtrend, to which then I would be shorting. Not on Bitcoin, but on any other altcoin, I probably would start shorting it. Maybe this is the dead cat bounce that we were long expecting, long overdue. And if so, I don't know, man. We've done better before, especially when it comes to something like Solana. We've seen these levels before, not too long ago, in December. Current price is at $138.93. The highest we hit was today, this morning, $143.39, basically reaching that resistance level that we had marked over here at 143. I may or may not have rounded this to 145. Give me a break. That's close enough, 143. That is where the resistance level is from pivots either way. An area for accumulation on Solana would be around over here, hopefully, before we once again encounter whatever this is. I would assume this would be at 150. The downtrend line is here, and this is also a psychological level where we can encounter our first resistance, first major resistance for Solana before, you know, we would jeopardize the uptrend kind of deal, right? So this is where I would accumulate Solana, around 125, 126. Seems decent, in my opinion. If we do get a drop of that magnitude, we probably will not even get that, so I'd settle for anything under 130. I don't want to get ahead of myself, of course, but depending, even if it's oversold at 130, I would probably enter, but I don't think it will be. I'd aim more to about 125 for sure, like to be certain about it, right? Great. SUI, it's trying its best. It poked above $2. Little bop upwards. $2.02 was its highest this morning, 7 a.m. Then we had a crash. 11 a.m. Sure. We dropped to basically where this previous resistance was, which, would you even call it a resistance if we just broke straight through it? Whatever. It's now become a support at 183. Current price is 186. Still looks great for SUI. And if I was to accumulate, yes, it would be around this area right over here, which is looking like anything below 165 is what I would try to go for. I don't know though. So this move seems a little too strong that I wouldn't be surprised if this trend actually flips negative first before, like, very temporarily, of course, before we break whatever next downtrend we get. Like, what I'm talking about is a move kind of like this. So, I don't know, something like this where we break the uptrend and we would actually go and search for this line instead. What this would do is flip our trend negative and, you know, price will just continue to do its thing until ultimately, like, the super trend kind of comes down to maybe even that 172 level. We approach it, we break out of it, and then, you know, trend flips back into the green like this, breaking whatever this downtrend line would appear. Do you guys understand what I'm drawing over here? It just looks like a bunch of squiggly lines. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. We might get like a little fake out is what I'm trying to explain. Because this movement upwards for SUI, we can admit it was a little bit too sharp. A 43% rise like that might not go unpunished. So something may happen here. Just warning you. Either way, I still will be entering, maybe at 160. A small DCA position with a stop loss. Is that even DCA if we're using stop loss? I think I'll just enter with a stop loss. That's it. If price continues to go lower, maybe I'll consider reaccumulating at around 150, sub 150. At that point, I might as well just DCA and then a stop loss below 140. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what the vibes are by then. Zcash. We had a nice spike upward this morning. I don't know how much profit I would have been making over here. I could probably calculate that, can't I? If, how do I calculate this? This is the units that we had, right? Can't I just, what would this have been? Okay, 564.42, remember this. It would have been 138 profit. Okay, can I change this back? I just drag it up here again. That's good enough. So, yeah, I could have made 138 profit, but I have a very ambitious take profit currently. I'm still going to keep it there. I still think we can rise. Uptrend has not invalidated whatsoever. It's just kind of lateralizing at this area. I kind of estimated maybe by end of this week is where I would expect price to reach the target. It's only Tuesday. We've got time. So I like that. Moving on to, well, I didn't mention the price. Zcash is at 494. 0% movement today. Hyperliquid, it's maintaining its uptrend good now, finally. Starting to make some nice moves. Highest we hit was $28.38. Current price is $27.64. Uptrend invalidates at $23.74. I would expect this to start rising in tandem with this this uptrend line, right? Maybe near to the support level at 2478, around that area. BitTensor has also been having a really good rise. I was pointing toward the resistance of 285, wasn't I? We broke straight through that, and we hit a high of $298.21, meaning that 300 is the important resistance, obviously. I did kind of point towards that. Around this zone is where we would slow down a little bit. We kind of did see that right over here. I would expect us to kind of start dropping a little bit towards this area, 240 to 250. This is probably where I would start reaccumulating BitTensor to maintain this uptrend, whatever we've got going on here. Uptrend line would kind of look like this. I hope, at least. I don't know, something like that. We don't have a bottom confirmation yet to confirm the uptrend, so that's what I'm mainly waiting for over here, to enter something like this. That looks decent. We'll see what happens though. As of right now, nothing's confirmed. Aptos is really having problems trying to break above $2, similar to what SUI is doing. Negative funding rate on Aptos still. Good area of accumulation, sub 180 for Aptos. Very healthy uptrend. Strong resistance at $2 though. Current price is $191. Okay, not too bad. I'll also probably be considering an entry for Aptos between 180 to 176. I don't know what I was doing there. Something like this, right? And I would expect a decent rise. Aptos, I still feel, is very... too much pressure. Too much sell pressure. But it's trying to break out. It's poking its head out, and it seems like it might be able to liquidate a lot of shorts and head a lot higher. A sudden kaboom and movement, if you know what I'm saying. So we'll see how it goes. That's really it. Crazy. I kind of went through it pretty fast. I mean, not much has really changed from yesterday. If anything, we're just kind of slowing down our moves a little bit. Sure, we did have some tiny movements upward, but nothing too groundbreaking, so to speak. I did want to check on RSI heat map, see if we got anything special moving. ETH is very overbought. Jasmy, you guys remember that one? Render coming down, BitTensor going up and overbought. SUI kind of coming down hard. Is that real? Yeah, kinda. What did I say for SUI? I said around over here, right? Yeah, maybe a fake out. Did it delete all my drawings? I think it might have. No, it didn't delete it for Bitcoin. Whatever. My drawings were very complicated either way. I probably deleted it myself. What's oversold right now? Nothing important. What else is overbought? Tezos, Jasmy Polygon, Render, Broccoli. Why is broccoli still a thing? This is Changping Zhao's dog, literally. Cosmos Virtual Protocol, Fartcoin. Nice. Hyperliquid's on the rise. BNB is also slightly on the rise. I haven't looked at BNB or XRP. Let's have a look at those since they are one of the top coins. Healthy uptrend as well for BNB at last. I like that movement. And XRP. I mean, the current price for BNB is 907 if you care. XRP is at 226, reaching a high of 241 at its peak. It's winning the race currently against SUI. SUI being at 186, attempting to break $2. I still think SUI will outperform whatever excuse of a cycle we do get. So, yeah. Entries for XRP, if you really want to, that's going to be around $2. Anything around $2. And don't worry, XRP will get there. It does tend to have sharp movements upward, and then like such a long-term decay. But, I mean, the only good thing for it is that it is in an uptrend, so you have that to hope for. I mean, I would say they're not really long-lived, though. Literally, like you can't make this up. How long was this excuse of an uptrend? 13 days? Okay, that's not too bad actually. 7 days of an uptrend and then perpetual downtrend. 5 days of an uptrend, downtrend. 6 days of an uptrend, downtrend. 6 days of an uptrend, downtrend. So far, we're at 4 days. I'd give you to maybe around 6 days before this thing starts seeing a downtrend once again, which means that we would expect XRP sub $2. I actually don't think that's going to happen, but who knows? I mean, historically speaking, whatever uptrends we do get from XRP, they weaken. Unless we have a huge move upward like this. And when it does happen, it does pay off. 23-day uptrend with a total rise of, I mean, from its lowest to its highest, give me a number, 70%. When was this? July of 2025. Yeah, I remember that. That was when we hit our all-time high of 366. Really, we're going that far back to look for good moves on XRP? That's cheating. Although this move so far is not that bad. 25%, almost 30% at its peak. That's pretty good. I don't know. I just don't know how long I'd expect this to continue rising. If this was up to me, I'd just expect this to kind of do this for like a long time. That's just classic XRP. All right. So we'll see what happens. My only current active trade is Zcash. Making 30 right now. I was hoping Sui would actually hit my break-even price. It's going to take more than that. Breaking $2 is going to be a challenge. And same with Aptos for whatever reason. It's all psychological at this point. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into our news. Millions of Iranians still out across the country on day 10 of the anti-Islamic uprising. The crowd keeps getting bigger and bigger. That is a lot of people. If you were a government, how do you stop this? Without, like, killing your own people? I don't know. And it's gotten so bad that even the police in Elam have now joined the revolution. People are seen celebrating as police officers put down their weapons. So they're not even fighting back, rather they're joining the civilians' protests in Iran. Dude, this is like the green light for Israel or the United States to attack them. Well, not to attack them, but maybe to get regime change. I don't know. The Islamic regime in Iran has lost control of its first city. The anti-regime protesters have taken full control of the city of Abdanan, near the border with Iraq. Not too bad. I've talked about this before, but once again, he reiterates. The president of Iran says, guys, we take full responsibility for the protests. It's our fault. We understand. I'm the one to blame. The student, the employee, the people, they are not to blame. We need to correct our actions. You hear that, Ayatollah Khamenei Jr.? The guy obviously is like, no, we'll crush our enemies. That's what he's been saying, tweeting on Twitter. And it seems like, yeah, they can take a cue over here. USA apparently, over the past several hours, the Air Force have departed aerial, I'm trying to read this backwards, I don't know why. Dozens of U.S. Air Force aerial refueling tankers and heavy military transport aircraft of the C-5 and C-17 types have departed from the United States and from an American air base in the United Kingdom, and it's headed toward the Middle East. According to various sources, the United States is preparing strikes against Iran, and the ongoing movement reflects the transfer of forces to the region. Yep, this might happen soon. Okay. What else has been going on? Greenland. The US is trying to take Greenland from Denmark by negotiating directly with the authorities there. The US is developing a draft agreement with Greenland that could be offered directly to the island's authorities, bypassing Denmark. You don't know, of course, Greenland belongs to Denmark. The proposal involves a free association agreement where the U.S. provides funding and improvements in living standards, while Greenland hands over all defense matters to Washington, but the island retains internal self-government. You're basically just getting the US military for free. Isn't that good? Trump's strategy has two main goals. The first is to deepen divisions between Greenland and Denmark. The second is to open direct negotiations with the island bypassing Copenhagen. Okay. Do people even live in Greenland, bro? It seems like that's just a massive North Pole island. And I'm saying this as a Canadian, but come on. 50% of Canadians live below that line, if you know what I'm referring to. Nobody lives in 98% of the country anywhere above... how do I even call it? It's difficult to explain, but whatever. I think you guys know what I'm talking about either way. A lot of the population is just like right on the border of the United States, especially in Ontario. That's where the majority of the people are, in Canada. Anyways, the European Union, they're increasing their military presence in Greenland following the US threats to annex the country. So they're pretty nervous. There's a little infighting going on between NATO, right? And of course, we're stepping our toes in there, dipping our toes in there. Canada and Denmark are allies, says Mark Carney, and we're partners in our shared responsibility for the security and resilience of the Arctic. As I reaffirmed to Prime Minister Frederiksen today, I'm assuming this is the Prime Minister of Greenland, Canada will always support the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Denmark, including Greenland. Is this Denmark or Greenland? Probably Denmark. Yeah, it's Denmark. Okay. Together we will keep working to secure peace in Ukraine and across Europe. All right, pal. We'll talk about Ukraine in a minute. Or now. Macron, Starmer, Zelensky, they signed the Declaration of Intent on future multinational force deployment in Ukraine. I don't know if I like the sound of that. Merz and Germany noticeably missing at the table. Why? Why is Germany missing? And the fact that we're giving more troops to Ukraine is what it seems like. Multinational force deployment in Ukraine. I'm assuming that's what that means, right? Unless it means something completely different. I'm going to look this up. Multinational force deployment. Meaning... means several countries send their combined military forces together for a common purpose, such as peacekeeping, security, disaster relief, or enforcing peace. Yeah, that's kind of what I don't want. It's not just those three countries, or two countries. What did I say? Keir Starmer, Macron, and Zelensky? Yeah. So UK, France are giving their troops over to Ukraine for military purposes. Apparently Canada is going to start doing the same thing. Carney says that Canada will be building up our military in part to send troops to Ukraine. Why do we gotta do this? If a peace deal is struck, Canada is willing to redeploy our troops to Ukraine as a backstop and send more long-term monetary, logistics, and training support. This is never going to end. We'll be paying for this for generations. Yep. I mean, we gave the guy $2.5 billion. I've talked about that. This is a post that I've been sleeping on since December 13 that I've seen. I was just waiting for a good time to bring it up, and now's the time. The Canadian Armed Forces, so this is our military, they're offering a $50,000 allowance for many positions as they ramp up staffing. And I was really considering this at one point, especially in December. I didn't have a job. I was looking for something. I was like, dude, I might as well just rejoin the military here. And then I saw this. I'm like, oh, I might really want to do it. But then I heard that we're probably going to go to war in Ukraine, and I'm like, I don't want to die. So anyway, almost like they're preparing for something that we don't know about. And this was back in December. Well, yeah, there you go. We're going to be sending troops over to Ukraine. That's why. We're going to die for another country that's not even ours. Chrystia Freeland, who we've talked about. This is the post from Zelensky, which we discussed. He's appointed, this is our deputy prime minister previously, also former Ministry of Transportation, former member of Parliament in Canada, now joining the Ukraine Parliament as an economic advisor. Bad pick, but okay. They'll hire her, but they will not hire me. I'll just take all of Ukraine's funds, dump it into Bitcoin, and wait. Easy. Freeland was born in Canada to an Anglo father and a Ukrainian mother, so it makes sense. She is part Ukrainian, that's why she went to Ukraine. That's what I was questioning myself is, Why does she go from Canada all the way over to Ukraine? What's the connection there? That was the connection. I didn't really touch on that yesterday, so I wanted to bring it up again today. Throughout her parliamentary career, she has demonstrated considerable loyalty to her mother country, including her time as finance minister, where she oversaw more than $10 billion in Canadian taxpayer money, more than $10 billion, was sent to support a war that has nothing to do with Canada. Plus $2 billion, don't forget that. I mean, it wasn't her decision, it was Mark Carney's decision, but delusional either way. Dual loyalties in our parliament. Yeah, it's just going to become more common. Okay, moving on from Ukraine, we're talking about Venezuela now. Trump posted this on Truth Social saying, I am pleased to announce that the interim authorities in Venezuela will be turning over between 30 and 50 million barrels of high-quality sanctioned oil to the United States of America. This oil will be sold at its market price, very cheap, and that money will be controlled by me, as President of the United States of America, to ensure it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States. I have asked Energy Secretary Chris Wright to execute this plan immediately. It will be taken by storage ships and brought directly to unloading docks in the United States. Thank you. Okay, well, let's just hope it's in the right hands. Do we trust Trump? Did you guys see that the stock market for Venezuela, it keeps on rising? I pointed out the initial rise, but it's still going, by the way, making crazy all-time highs, up 73%. Imagine investing in that. Since December 23rd, President Trump ramped up pressure on Maduro's government. Venezuela's stock market is up 148%. It's currently skyrocketing. Crazy. Okay. We also have a little update from the DOJ. They revised the claim that Maduro ran a drug cartel. So the U.S. Justice Department has updated its indictment against Maduro, no longer alleging that he led a formal cartel known as Cartel de los Soles. So he's no longer associated with that. Apparently that's fake. I kind of discussed it with my family too. It probably was fake. Instead, the revised filing describes the term as referring to a broader culture of corruption and patronage tied to drug trafficking within Venezuela's military and government instead of an organized, centralized cartel under Maduro's command. This is a major shift from previous U.S. government claims, widely echoed by officials during the Trump administration, that treated Cartel de los Soles as a real criminal organization with Maduro at the top. Prosecutors are still accusing him of drug-related crimes, but the narrative has clearly changed. This softening of language could have implications for U.S. Venezuela policy. Raises the question about how major legal claims shape foreign relations, even when later revised. Okay, cool. So he's no longer part of the Cartel de los Soles. We just changed our mind, just like that. And also on Venezuela, Trump has issued an ultimatum to Venezuela to abandon its alliances with China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba, and place its oil industry under an executive partnership with Washington, or face a second strike. Well, there you go. You better use our companies now and not turn your gaze over to China or Russia with the oil exports, right? That's only going to benefit those companies, Chevron and ExxonMobil and that other irrelevant company that I forget. Trump also posted this, mainly talking about Thomas Massie, and of course he replied with the meme, but we'll read this either way. Trump says the incredible people of Kentucky's 4th Congressional District, who want desperately to get rid of Thomas Massie, the worst Republican, in quotes, congressman we have had in many years, they gave us a mandate to make America great again. The person who is going to do it is this Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, 5th generation Kentucky farmer and American hero, Captain Ed Galbraith, a true patriot. Trump's been posting a lot of endorsements for different candidates, and this is one of them for the whoever's running in Kentucky, right? It just talks about him. Thomas Massie is a weak and pathetic rhino, R-I-N-O, Republican in name only, from the beautiful Commonwealth of Kentucky, a place I love, and I won big all 3 times. He doesn't like Thomas Massie, of course, mainly because of the Epstein files. And I'm sure there's other reasons too. Talks more about Ed. We're glazing Ed, and that's about it. He has my total and complete endorsement against Congressman Thomas Massie. He always votes against the Republican Party, making life very easy for the radical left. Unlike the lightweight Congressman Massie, a true hater of Israel, a total ineffective loser who has failed us so badly, Captain Ed Galrain is a winner who will not let Kentucky down, so vote for that guy, is what Trump has been saying. Thomas Massie replies to this with, I ain't reading all that. I'm happy for you though, or sorry that happened. If you don't get the meme, too bad. Get on the internet. So there's that. He also commented on California. Trump posted this. Under Governor Gavin Newsom is more corrupt than Minnesota, if that's possible. The fraud investigation of California has begun. So we're investigating Minnesota, we're investigating California for fraud under both these Democratic governors, Tim Walz and Governor Gavin Newsom. We'll see what comes out of that. We already know that Tim Walz will not be running for a third term. We bullied Tim Walz out of office, and also Vivek Ramaswamy off social media. There's a bit of infighting going on in the Republican Party, is what it seems like. I don't know. The thing with Vivek Ramaswamy is, I don't know. Fishback goes off on Vivek. Fishback is another congressman from, or he's going from, not congressman. What's his name? Republican James Fishback. What's his name? Okay, so he's an investor, but he's from the Republican Party and is running for a candidacy in Florida. The guy that's running against Vivek, though, is... Who is the guy's name? Who is running against Vivek? It was some other guy. I forgot his name. Why am I going to forget now? Is it Rob McCauley? I don't think it's this. It might be. I swear it was some other guy. Whatever. A lot of people have been giving Vivek some hate because he's Indian. Fishback from Florida goes off on Vivek, tells him to learn how to use a fork and put some shoes on. Okay, pal. And Vivek ended up deleting the Twitter app, saying that his team will post on his behalf instead. It still exists. Last post was yesterday, so this is his team now, apparently posting for him. But he himself is just backing down, right? And people were criticizing for him for that because he did quote tweet somebody not long ago in December 19 saying, if you're too scared of your comment section, you're not fit to lead. Well, after that, everybody was going off on Vivek for being Indian. And now he's scared of his comment section. He decided to delete the Twitter app, have his team run it instead. And, well, do you think he's fit to lead now? I don't know. Suspicious guy. He seemed like a great option. I was happy when Trump won that he was going to be appointed with Elon Musk to run Doge. Remember that? Department of Government Efficiency. And then what happened? Apparently, allegedly, they got into some disagreements, some fight, and he ended up just leaving it entirely and focusing on running for governor of Ohio instead, especially after, pretty sure JD Vance was there before, right? So Vivek would replace him, something like that. Crazy. So, yeah. There's that going on for Vivek. He has been endorsed by Trump, though. That's another thing I wanted to point out. For governor of Ohio. Trump also posted this. The USA markets just hit an all-time high. All of them. Even the Venezuelan stock market. Thank you, Mr. Tariff. Wow, okay. Pray that the United States Supreme Court allows our country to continue its unprecedented march toward unparalleled greatness. Both our national and financial security have never been stronger. Yeah, I agree, and I do want those tariffs to be ruled in favor of Trump from the Supreme Court. I know it's contradictory to what a lot of people believe, but I've given my explanation before. It would be great. Long term, you guys are getting a stimulus check. And the only bad thing about it is you're going to get a headline once in a while saying Trump announces a 100% tariff on China. And then we'll get an October 10th style crash. And that is an opportunity to buy. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, that sucks. But honestly, October 10 was a whole separate issue. We're going to talk about October 10 soon. First of all, this whole thing with the stock market, I did not even look at the stock market today. Is it actually at all-time highs? Trump usually says this, and it's just like not at all-time highs. So I'm just going to fact check him real quick. And yeah, well, he's right. This is this week's candle. It's at an all-time high. NASDAQ is 100, right? Or is it 200? This is not necessarily at an all-time high. NASDAQ is 100. Russell 2000. That's almost at an all-time high. Or we're close enough. It's fine. I'll give him a pass. What other stock markets are there? Dow Jones. Yeah, that is at an all-time high as well. Okay. You get a pass. Thank you for not spreading misinformation. Cynthia Loomis commented on this. It seems that the SDNY/DOJ, what is SDNY? Southern District of New York, and the Department of Justice have sold the Bitcoin that the Samurai devs paid it as part of their plea deal, even though Executive Order 14233 mandates that any forfeited Bitcoin is to be held in the United States Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. This wasn't the first time in the Samurai case that the SDNY acted in defiance of federal guidance. The Samurai case has been going on for a while. Samurai was an exchange, I think. Crypto. Cryptot, yes, of course. The wallet. The privacy-focused Bitcoin wallet that uses Conjoin tool. They got seized. We visited this literally in the past, and I showed you this image. The website has been seized by the FBI. This is a real thing, by the way. I can't access the website. It's been seized by the FBI, along with all the cryptocurrencies. It seems like they have sold the Bitcoin. I don't know how much Bitcoin they sold, if it even tells us. Can we ask Grok? How much Bitcoin was sold during this? Let's see what it says. 57 Bitcoins. That's not that bad. How much money is that? 57 Bitcoins times prices 92,666. Hell yeah. Oh, well, 92. Whatever, dude. $5 million. It's not that bad. Either way, this should have been added to the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, which I agree with. Why was it not? That's a bit suspicious. But whatever the court case was about, mandated them to sell the Bitcoin. Cynthia Loomis commented on it, as I said, saying that, why is the US government still liquidating Bitcoins when the president explicitly directed these assets to be preserved for our strategic Bitcoin reserve? We can't afford to squander these strategic assets while other nations are accumulating Bitcoin. I'm deeply concerned about this report. Yeah. I agree. What's going on? We should have been adding this to the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, but clearly not. What are we going to do about it? Are we going to buy it back? That would be pretty cool. Just force buy it back. Great. This is the biggest news of today. The best news. The news that should erase all the bad stuff that happened back in October, November. But no one cares because we're not even rising from that news. I don't know, we got a bit of volatility today, but this would be part of the good volatility. The MSCI that is in charge of the NASDAQ and the Russell indices, and maybe some more, they just announced that it will keep Bitcoin and crypto treasury companies in its indexes, in its indices. This is important. This was the biggest reason behind the October 10th crash, which wiped out $19 billion in a single day. This announcement will also end the MicroStrategy FUD about being forced to sell their Bitcoin holdings worth billions, which should be real bullish for the crypto market. Now, the reason why this was an issue was it had to do with JP Morgan. I have another post talking more specifically about it. First, I'll talk about what strategy came out with. They said MSCI confirmed digital asset treasury companies will remain in the MSCI indices for the February 2026 review. So that means it's temporary. A strong outcome for neutral indexing and economic reality. Thank you to our investors in the Bitcoin community. And are we rising on this news? Let me go to MicroStrategy's chart. Why am I on a weekly chart? This is cringe. Yes, this is the... So this is what happens when the bad news comes out. And then when the good news comes out, this is what happens. Right? Make it make sense. But anyway, hey, it's a good start. You have an uptrend going on for it, if you want to call this an uptrend. The super trend is green. Time to go max long on MicroStrategy, perhaps. No, I'm just kidding. Don't actually do that. I don't know for sure. But the main reason why this hurt us so much was because of how JP Morgan was manipulating the situation. And I've shown this post before. I've saved it because I knew I would bring this up again in the future. And today is that day. Everything was planned. Jim Chanos, he's one of the most well-known short sellers on Wall Street. He said that he is long Bitcoin and short MicroStrategy. He announced that. In July, JP Morgan increased its margin requirements for trading MicroStrategy shares from 50% to 95%, meaning that you could not leverage yourself as much with margin if you do trade MicroStrategy shares. Why was JP Morgan specifically doing this? They wanted to cause some FUD, and ultimately they were able to do that. They also had a partnership with BlackRock. MicroStrategy indirectly is a competitor to BlackRock because it's like, okay, if you want to invest in a stock that invests in crypto, what do you go for? You go for the ETF, BlackRock, that moves almost 1-to-1, or would you go for MicroStrategy? At the time, MicroStrategy was very appealing because of the MNAV value. The amount of volatility it multiplies because it has so much of its stock portfolio invested in Bitcoin, to the fact where any move on Bitcoin, MicroStrategy would move 3 times that amount at one good point, until it slowly started decaying, even though Michael Saylor has always been buying, which was odd. He's been buying at higher prices. That's part of the reason. And as Bitcoin came below, it started going down, especially with this FUD. Bitcoin's price started crashing, and so was MicroStrategy, to the point where we became almost 1-to-1, which would have been the same as what BlackRock is doing, and it actually got worse. It was like 0.9x the movement of Bitcoin. So you're getting less volatility on MicroStrategy stock compared to, of course, BlackRock. And they made a deal with BlackRock with options, with 3-year options till 2028, that you could, you know, get a great yield on it and all this kind of stuff. And of course, it's BlackRock, so you know it's going to survive until 2028, as opposed to something like MicroStrategy, which seems to have been losing its MNAV power, making it seem less attractive to investors. And obviously, like the price action speaks for itself. We're seeing how much MicroStrategy has been on its way down until finally it looks like we've hit a bottom over here. So I will announce, yes, this looks like the start of something bigger. At least for now. I don't know. Could take us to maybe about $200 plus. We're at 168 right now with MicroStrategy stock. So all this stuff, JP Morgan was making MicroStrategy look bad, and they also convinced the MSCI, the ones that run the indices, that stocks like MicroStrategy should not be allowed to be listed on those indices, meaning that MicroStrategy would be delisted from the Russell and from the NASDAQ indices, which hurts the exposition of the stock as well. That was also part of the reason why we've just been crashing and crashing. This all happened mainly on October 10. They were giving the clause of, okay, if you hold 50% or more of your company assets in digital assets, you're getting kicked out. If you hold less, you're fine. So companies like maybe GameStop or American Bitcoin, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know how much American Bitcoin holds in assets. But as long as it's not more than 50% of your whole entire company's net worth, right? Then you're fine. Otherwise, you're basically another ETF, and you might as well register as an ETF. But MicroStrategy, they're actually a software company as well. It's not just Bitcoin accumulation, right? I don't know. It seems like that's the front, but on the back end, it seems like a majority of their net worth or their how much the company's revenue is generated, it's all based off of Bitcoin, right? Their earnings are all over the place, their quarterly reports. So yeah. I don't know what else to read from this. It's a huge post, but it summarizes everything really clear. You could pause and read if you really care about it. This is the summary of it. The MSCI announcement created the first wave of concern. The market was already fragile at the time. JP Morgan's note came at the exact moment when MicroStrategy and Bitcoin were weak. More traders now believe there may be short side pressure. JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley are releasing IBIT-linked products at the same time. IBIT, of course, being BlackRock. And this happened after we bottomed out at the worst of the worst when I got stop hunted at 80,000 Bitcoin. That's when they said, hey, you know what? Bitcoin's not all that bad, though. I know MicroStrategy is terrible, but BlackRock is great, guys. We're partnering up with them. And then, we kind of recovered, like, okay, so JP Morgan, good now. Yeah, great. More tree. Okay, Sailor stepped in to give clarity and stabilize the situation. Yeah, it's not random. This was a calculated attack against MicroStrategy. And now that it's over, now that we have confirmation from the MSCI that Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy, it's so hard to pronounce that, will not be delisted. Everything should be fine now. I don't know. We're starting to recover, is what it looks like. We did kind of get alluded to this in the past. NASDAQ said, hey, I don't think we're going to actually kick out MicroStrategy by January 2026, is what they said a couple months ago. And looks like they were right. Whatever magic Michael Saylor did, he managed to convince MSCI to keep them. So there you go. Good news overall. What's not good news is the 10 a.m. manipulation, which still continues. Bitcoin dropping $3,000, liquidating $220 million worth of longs in the last 3 hours. This morning. Why do you guys over-leverage like this? 80 billion wiped out from the crypto market overall. Dow Jones hit a new all-time high today. Precious metals are near all-time highs. What is going on? The only way to solve this is the crypto market structure bill, which will be voted on by the U.S. Senate Banking Committee on January 15th. Here's a bunch of text, and that's it. David Sachs pushing market structure legislation is tied to what happens next. Senators have picked January 15 for a markup of the Clarity Act in the Senate Banking Committee. This is the formal process. It's the stage where committee members review the bill and vote on whether to advance it to a full Senate vote. If it moves forward, let's hope it's before the mid-February Senate recess, or else it's going to be delayed again. This bill would apply to most digital assets. Clearer oversight would make it easier for institutions to operate within U.S. markets, so all eyes on January 15. Mark that in your calendars. We'll see what happens. Oh, what are the odds? If it advances quickly, a full Senate vote could happen before month's end, but delays are possible due to the mid-February recess. Prediction markets estimate a 70% chance of overall passage, though January timing is uncertain, perhaps 40 to 60% based on momentum, so it's kind of up in the air. Okay. I think that's about it. What else are we getting? Will Trump acquire Greenland before 2027? Okay. No one cares about... Can I, filter out sports? That's, the least interesting thing that I care about. Hide sports. Oh, wow. Thank you. Maduro mugshot released by... Will we even get a Maduro mugshot? This will be so cool if we do manage to get this. US strikes Iran by... Oh man, there's actually pretty high chances here for June 30. 35% chance. Are we going to make this an annual thing? Israel-Iran ceasefire broken by June 30? 64% chance. People actually think it will. With the way that things are ramping up right now, I would bet in favor of this. I won't actually do it because I'm not that dumb. I'm not going to take that big of a risk. Who knows for real if it's going to happen. What price will Ethereum hit in January? 6,000. I could buy no on this easily. What are the biggest odds right now? 3,400. I mean, that's literally next. We're 3,200 right now with Ethereum. 3,400 is a 77% chance we hit that. So people do believe Ethereum will continue rising. And I do hope so too. Where's my average entry? 3,600. It's 46% chance that happens. It seems like more bullish on Ethereum rising than it is for crashing. Like there's a 14% chance it hits 2,600 versus a 14% chance it hits 4,000. 4,000 is further. Is it further? Or are they equidistant? I can't do math, dude. Whatever. I bet they're equidistant, right? Oh, this is easy. Fed decision in January. No change. Right? I don't know. We're getting non-farm payroll data this Friday. So that's going to be important. Non-farm payroll is unemployment rate. Okay. I'm not going to bet on that. Another US strike on Venezuela. Low chances of that happening. This is like every day. Why are we... Can I just vote like no with this? How much would I make? 309.02. I make literally $0. Unless this is already passed, of course. I mean, yeah, obviously it's already passed. It's January 4th. What am I doing? Let me go January 7th. There we go. Now we're talking. I make $2 if nothing happens tomorrow. Obviously, we're not going to strike them again. But I don't know. These guys are unpredictable. Still not going to bet on it. Could just lose all my $300 if they actually do that. Khamenei will leave Iran. Bitcoin price on January 7. Maria Corina Machado enters Venezuela. I don't think she will. People are expecting by March 31st a 46% chance. Okay. What would happen before GTA 6? Drake releases Iceman, GPT-6 released, Russia-Ukraine ceasefire. People actually think we're going to get a Russia-Ukraine ceasefire before GTA 6 releases. Isn't that in November? When does it release? When does GTA 6 release? Can't believe I'm looking this up. Yeah, November 2026. There's a 50% chance that Jesus Christ returns. That's crazy. Before we get GTA 6. So half the planet, or at least half of Christians, will not be able to enjoy it. Will Christians even play that game? Whatever, man. Yeah, all this stuff. I like Polymarket, man. It's fun. It's fun to bet. Okay, great. I'm gonna stop gambling, guys. Okay, that'll be all for tonight's stream. Really nothing too crazy going on, but still developments in the Middle East that could, you know, big if true, of course. We gotta wait and see what happens there. Seems like they're preparing something in the background. The people that notice, at least. That's the only issue, obviously, that would potentially crash markets. Another war in the Middle East. Okay. But until then, we shall enjoy the uptrend, as long as it lasts. You just gotta make sure you don't miss the train. This is where I'd expect it to drop to. That's what I expect for now. Obviously, this would have been an excellent area of taking profits. Of course, we're looking in the past. From here, next stop, rising up to 98,000. I'd suggest another break from there. Might even be next week by then. And then 100,000. I'm very hopeful for that. I think I'm going to do another, like, Bitcoin bet. At an appropriate time, of course. Israel strikes Iran by January 31st. I'm looking for Bitcoin. Where's the 2027 one? That's not what I'm looking for. Fine, whatever. What does this say? What price will Bitcoin hit in January? 95K, obviously. 80,000, I don't think this is going to happen. I did the bet of 65,000 and below. I made profit on that one already. Yeah, whatever. No more gambling. Okay. That's enough for tonight, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow then. Back to normal. Same old